Hey everybody, it's me, it's Thor. I hope you're doing great. Welcome back. Welcome to all the fresh new faces that have come to join the conversation. My last video I asked for music recommendations in the comments and wow, you guys really delivered. So thanks for that. I've got a lot of stuff to check out. There was a lot of stuff that I wasn't familiar with at all. Some things that I was aware of and some things that I know very well. I don't remember the person's name who suggested Daniel Norgren, but you get mega points. Daniel Norgren is, he's been a recent, I don't want to say favorite, but I like him a lot. I really like his records. Great vibe. He does a thing that is one of my favorite things, which is repetitive groove. You know, just sort of almost making something meditative by doing it over and over again, and I really like that. I think that can be missing sometimes. A lot of music, I mean, it's very music dependent, right? Style dependent, but I like it when something happens enough so you really get into it, and I can find it relaxing or even sometimes very stressful, but I like the ride that it takes you on. I just got back to town. For those of you who don't know, I'm a musician that lives in London, and as you can tell from my accent, I am not a local. But I've been living here for a couple of years, and I was just up north in Manchester and Sheffield, where I made some great music with some really good friends. I spent a day in the studio with my good friend Mark and this great artist named Rob Jones, fantastic songwriter, really thoughtful stuff, and yeah, spent the day making music with them, and it was so much fun. It was just a ton of fun. We came up with some really cool stuff. A lot of good texture, I used my baritone basically for everything. And which I brought on a whim. Like I heard one part on a demo or I heard an idea for a part when listening to the demo. And so I brought the baritone and ended up using that for I think just about everything on the song we worked on, and just so satisfying. Then I played a nice, super fun, like loud country gig, just playing country tunes in a bar up there, and loud. It's really loud. I don't always love playing loud. You know, you have to play. Obviously, you have to do what the room and the music calls for. So that sort of room that we played in, it's the type of room that just, it's almost like playing outside in a weird way, where like sound just has this way of getting sucked into one part of the room. And so you just have to turn up. You have to. Playing loud is something that I struggle with. I don't always, yeah, I do my best to play as quiet as possible most of the time, but you got to do what you have to do. And then, man, one of the highlights of I don't even know how, like, my last year basically was this group that some friends and I have put together, and we got together, I don't know, a little under a year ago just to kind of see what would happen. You know, just four of us in a room, saying yes to ideas and see what comes out of it. And the first session we did about a year ago was incredible. You know, I don't think it's what anyone else, I don't know what they expected, but it wasn't what I expected. I had no real idea or expectations going into it, but it ended up being such a cool batch of music. And this last session was no different. You know, in 2 days' time, we wrote and recorded 6 tunes from scratch, which is almost unheard of sometimes. Not all the time, but that's tough to do. And it's really cool, and we're really excited to put it out there in the world when it's ready. I'll tell you more about it as it develops. I'm not even going to tell you the name of the project, because sometimes surprises are fun. But yeah, really excited about that. And that got me actually thinking about something I wanted to talk to you guys about, which is the idea of saying yes to ideas. You know, I've never performed improv comedy before, but I know that one of the rules for it is not saying no. You know, someone says an idea, and you say yes, and you add to it. So yes, and it can be a beautiful thing. You know, sometimes yes, in music you have to make pretty hard decisions. You know, no, I'm not gonna play that note, or I'm not gonna play this chord, or you know, choices have to be made sometimes, of course. But the idea of and the power of saying yes in music is incredible, and it can be with a collaborative effort. You know, you can always take an idea, as silly as you might think it seems in the moment, and turn it into something cool, you know, or at least turn it into something musical. You know, whether or not you like it, that's a different story. We're not talking about that. We're talking about taking something, an idea, and making a musical expression out of it. And there's always a way to do it. You might have to really, really go deep into your creativity vault to do it, but it can happen. And that also goes for when you're playing, you know, just saying it to yourself, yes, and. Again, I'm going to preface this with saying that, yes, you have to make choices. You have to think of the song you're playing. You have to think of, if you're accompanying someone, you have to think about the person you're accompanying, so on and so forth. You know, you have to, there are confines within it, right? But saying yes to an idea and then trying to take it somewhere musical. You know, the opening piece that I played I was just, again, improvising over a set of chord changes. In this case, the chord changes were to a song called I Surrender Dear, which is, it's such a cool song, and it's like instant vibe. It sounds very dark and sinister and minor, and then it ends with this beautiful major chord, which is just like, come on, how cool is that? Because when it comes down to it, it's a love song, you know? Love, man. I don't remember all that I did. I do remember one thing, though, which was this. I went. And what's going on there, just to give you a heads up, is D7, G minor, C7, B flat major. Okay? So what I did, I found myself up here, and I landed on this A flat 9 chord, which is a tritone substitution for D7. If you don't know what a tritone substitution is, there's a lot of resources out there to tell you. Real quick and dirty explanation: if you take any dominant 7 chord and go up a tritone, which is a minor third of a minor third, you can make a dominant 7 chord there and substitute one for the other. Is it always cool? No, absolutely not. But it is something that works. It all depends what you're going to. So in this case, I knew that I could go to that G minor, and I made it a G minor 9 just so to get some chromaticism. Then my next chord was C7. That sounds fine, but I went yes and I kept going. So that same rule, D7 to A flat 7, and now we got G minor to C7. I'm gonna go C7. Let's do a tritone. Do an F sharp 7, and that B flat chord, to make it chromatic, to add chromaticism to it, we're just voice leading. How cool is that, right? That sounds like a pretty good phrase. So let's do it with these chords. That's just hip. So I went yes, and yes, and. So, you know, that's a lot. There's trial and error involved in that. You can say yes and all you want, but if it sounds bad, then well, let's move on. But you tried it. That's the thing. You have to say yes and. Not every joke that a comedian makes lands, right? but you tried it. You said, yes, that's a good joke. Where can I go from there? So here, that's a cool chord. Where can I go with that chord? You know, it might have ended up sounding like total garbage farts, but it's still, you got to give it a whirl. You got to try it. Say yes. Let's move forward in music. You know what I mean? If you dig what I'm talking about, and you think maybe you like my perspective, please consider booking a one-on-one session. You can look in the comments. I'm playing through my Victory V4 today. Recording these intro vids, or intro pieces, I want to make sure the sound quality is really good. And I've been miking up my tube amp with a ribbon mic, which I love. I love that sound. But I wanted to see how this would do for recording. I've only ever used this live through the front of house, like just DI in for a silent stage sort of thing. And I love this thing for that. And so far, I'm loving the way it sounds played back or into Logic. I don't love playing through my desktop studio monitors, but for the sake of recording, it's great and easy and sounds good. So, will I use it every time? Probably not. But anyway, I hope you're doing great. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you again soon.